Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I am here. I'm freshly married. I just got married to a beautiful black woman by the name of Dr. Alicia. Her name was a different name from the one she has now. She is now Dr. Alicia Watkins. Shout out to me and us and we, and shout out to Black Love. Hey, baby, you want to come over and talk for a minute?
Yeah. Um, Oh, I want to say thank you to all the congrats we got online. That was so wonderful. I'm just
Yeah.
overwhelmed. There's no way you can respond to all of them individually, boys. How do you do this?
Oh, we can't. You can't respond to everybody, but you
But
do
you
your
want
best.
to.
Yeah, I really do. Like Alexandra is the first person to say congrats, and I want to say thank you. And it's nice. It's really nice when people care. We tried to stream the wedding, and the live stream didn't go so great.
Did it
It
not?
went okay, but there was it went out like in the first few minutes. And the thing about a live stream on YouTube is they send out a notification the first time, and then if you go off the air and then you go right back on, it will not send out another notification. So I have to I think I'm going to email out everybody and let them know if they want to watch the wedding they can. But it was pretty heavy. It was intense.
It wasn't. I like those like wedding summaries where they have like a little short clip of the highlights of the wedding. Are we going to have
Mm.
something like that? That would be really
I
nice.
have some stuff, and I think
No,
I'm.
not the stuff you put
You mean like
together.
professional?
I've seen them, you
Yeah,
know,
like really good.
like really good because our photos are just like camera photos and it may not be the best angle on people.
That is so true. Oh my God, you're so
So,
right.
and you just like take a photo and just put it up there. You don't even ask me if it's okay,
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
but that's
Well,
okay.
by the way, we have a Facebook page that follows the wedding. I think if you go to boyceandalicia.com, did you know that there's via boyceandalicia.com I think it
Ah,
links to our Facebook page. So if anybody wants to take a look at the wedding pictures, there are some on the blacklovechannel.com also. That's a YouTube channel we have because Alicia's a relationship therapist, and out of respect for what she does, we like to talk about relationship stuff, hopefully in a healthy way, so that our people can get good advice from professionals with licenses, as opposed to like niggas who just run their mouth on the internet. I don't know.
yeah, but armchair therapists have their value too. They have
True
their
that.
lived experience, right, boys?
That's true. That's true. Okay, so Horace says congrats, and Terry King, thank you. E Town 100. Alexandra says, she says, I've been following you for years. I feel like I'm on a life journey with you. That's what I'm talking about. I
That's
know
what's
that.
up.
I know that feeling. I had that feeling actually with my favorite rappers. Spice One and Ice Cube were my age, and I followed them every year. Their albums would come out. I would buy their albums, and then Willie D was in the wedding and from the Ghetto Boys, and I told Willie, I said, every time I'm going on him and Scarface's podcast today.
Oh,
And
are you
yeah,
okay?
and I said, you don't understand. Like, I'm still fanned out because I used to buy your albums every year when they came out. So one day I'm on the phone and I'm talking to Willie D and Ice Cube, right? Because
That's
like I'm
right.
talking to Ice Cube, and then Willie D, I'm supposed to talk to Willie. So I'm linking Willie and Ice Cube, and they're talking through the computer.
Like old friends too. It's
Yeah.
great.
Well, remember, Ice Cube used a line from Willie D in his most famous song, "No Vaseline." It was the most famous diss track ever, and he had a part of the song where he says, "Willie D told me to let a hoe be a hoe." So they've known each other, right?
Ah,
So it was like so cool. Like we're all just sitting there talking as brothers, and I was like, I'm not gonna tell these guys how awesome it is that I'm literally talking to two of my favorite rappers that are two of my favorite friends, but literally these guys were two of my favorite rappers 20 years ago. So I was like, okay, but I don't want to be the big nerd in the room, But it was really dope.
yeah, but they look up to you in your own special way. Like they look up to you for what you do.
Yeah, well,
I think it's really cool.
it is interesting to meet people where you're in the mutual admiration society. Like
Right.
when we met Daryl Bell, who played Ron on A Different World, and
Yeah.
Daryl was like, "Man, I've been following you for years." I'm like, "Bro,
We've been watching you.
you're the dude from A Different World. Like
Yeah.
that's like other. So it's really cool." And you're right. Demetrius is obviously a great fan of hip hop because he said Spice One was dope. You know how much I love Spice One.
Well, I mean, some of my favorite rap songs do come from Spice One, but I wouldn't say he's my favorite
Yeah,
rapper.
well, he's niche. He's niche, right? Cooling
Hmm.
on the corner with the cellular phone, you could
But,
tell that the
but,
East Bay
but,
was his home. More male than the rest of the pushers, cause he got a Tech 9 in the bushes. Anybody remember that? Anybody? Give me a yes or no if you've ever heard that before, or give me a no if you think I just sounded crazy right now. And y'all got to look it up. Anyway,
You got good flow, boys.
well, let's talk about the topic. See,
Oh,
that's our problem. We just can't. We get distracted. So yeah. So Max Jerome, what's going on, brother? So yeah, we were looking at there was this interesting list of like, somebody asked a question somewhere. Where damn, I gotta find it now. They said, what are the things that women leave, um, on in a man's house when they want to mark their territory? And I thought it was a really interesting statement, a question, because a lot of people left really interesting responses.
okay. What they say?
And so first I'm gonna ask everybody in here, put your answer in the chat. When a woman marks her territory, what things do you think she leaves in a man's house? And then I'm gonna start reading the answers here. So Keisha Lloyd said she leaves her body wash in the shower and a nice pair of heels by his bed.
I love that.
um, let's see. Michelle Palmer, she takes the high ground. She said, "I leave nothing because if I'm his woman, he should be a man enough to let any other female know that he's in a relationship and that he is happy with the woman he's with." Okay, all right, yeah, that's very nice.
That was a good
And
one.
Ruby said, "Panties, scent of perfume, jewelry, makeup, a hair accessory." Personal items, a toothbrush, etc. Note: she wants him to think about her when she's not there. If he's seeing other women, she wants them to know he's seeing and being with her. If she's giving doubts of his trust, she would do the same. Yes, women are not dogs; they are human beings, right? So I'm gonna read more this to you guys. Alicia had to step out of the room because she's actually busy doing something, and I interrupted her day. Um, let's see here. Okay, Pearly says we're talking about women or girls because I'm confused. Okay. Five McManus says the spirit of her evil twin. And Leon says, my hair, you be finding that in her ass crack 5 months later. Okay. Um, Earrings and clothes. Let's see here. Myself in his bed, or I have to leave. I'll leave my sex soaked panties on the floor. Oh Lord. God. Okay, that's raunchy. What do y'all think? Let's see here. Your first name Jack, last name Daniels. I see you, Sean. Lip gloss, earrings all over, earrings, hair accessories. They use all the toilet paper. Yeah, somebody said
Okay.
that she would rearrange stuff in the cabinet so that another woman will notice that the stuff is rearranged in the cabinet. That just sounded crazy to me. Um, what do you think about this whole idea of marking your territory, babe? How do you feel about that? If you feel the need to mark your territory, what does that say about your relationship? You think that you feel insecure in the relationship, or maybe it's not even a relationship, maybe it's a situationship.
Okay, so I was on the phone, so I didn't get to hear everything. But marking your territory, huh? Let me think about that.
You think that is there some sort of diagnosis that you would give a
No, it's
person
just
who feels the need to mark their territory?
I
Or
think it's cute. I think it's cute to mark your territory. It's like he's mine.
really?
He's mine. I'm gonna subtly let anybody that comes in here know. I think it's cute. Now, a man, if they don't want their territory marked, they'll be like, "Get your stuff out of here. Grab your stuff and go." Or they'll take your stuff and say,
Mm,
"Hey, you leaving your stuff behind." But I think men do. How do men feel when they're like, "Oh, she left her perfume here. She left her
mm.
belongings here. Oh, or she left her toothbrush here."
Well, I think that if a man is okay with you marking your territory, I believe I'm old school, but I believe men are gonna mark you first. Like men,
No, wait. Answer my question though.
right? How
Like,
do
how
men?
do you
Yeah, well,
feel?
it depends on the woman. Like I don't know, fellas, give me a yes or no if you know what I'm talking about. Like it depends on the woman. Some women, you don't want them marking shit because they don't belong there.
Exactly. That's
Like
what I was
you're like
saying.
it's a hotel. Like this is temporary. You did not buy this condo. You rented it. Like you're here for a certain amount of time, and it's a timeshare unit, right? But when it's your house, then that's a whole nother level. Like that's a whole different type of relationship. So I think that a woman, like if you came in and you left stuff everywhere, I mean, sure, of course, I didn't care. But if it was a woman I wasn't real interested in, there we go. Mark your territory with wedding rings. Yeah, you marked me. I've got a ring on. This ring, this shit is actually probably a little still too small. It doesn't hurt, but I can't get it off without Windex. I got the little gay man at the jewelry store sprayed Windex on my finger and showed me how to take it off. I said, "Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's good advice." So yeah, I think
So no Windex for you boys. I see
no,
you
no
with some
Windex.
Windex. We'll be like, "What you doing with
Why you got
the
Windex in your
Windex?"
bag? Yeah, yeah. Like I think marking. Okay, let's see. Nuke Man says I mark my territory by leaving tools around. Okay, all right.
Well, the fix it man. It could just be for the fix it man. I
Let's
think
see.
it's cute. I don't think it's all sinister necessarily. I just think it's cute. That means she likes you and she wants to make sure you're hers.
Yeah,
She
but
want to
that's the
make
thing. Why
sure.
do we have to get it to the point where people? I don't even like. I never like the concept of people feeling like they need to own somebody anyway. I've never felt. I would say I've never felt that way. I would say that when I got to about 30, in my mid 30s, I realized that trying to own a person
Mm-hmm.
was usually going to lead you to disappointment. My conclusion. So
Oh,
it doesn't mean I don't earn my place in the relationship, but it's like being on an NFL roster. If you play in the NFL, you know that you got to perform, or they're gonna, or someone else could take your position. When you get too comfortable, you're not gonna be on the team anymore. So I like to think of my relationship like, okay, I'm always competing to be on the roster. Sure, I've been the starting quarterback for the last 5 years, so the benefit of the doubt is in my favor.
so you taking the high road.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. I've never been into like marking things and owning things and claiming things. Like
It's
if I,
like what dogs do. Dogs mark their
yeah,
territory.
yeah. Like if you sleeping with somebody and somebody's like, I swear to God, like 20 years ago, I was, it was before you and I got together, but I was like sleeping with a lady and she liked to say, whose pussy is this, right? She would say that, right? And I would say it's yours. like I mean, like it's
Oh, you didn't go with it in the moment,
No,
Bliss.
because it's
Oh.
like it ain't because I'm no because that's the problem. See, people get caught up in that like it's mine. I own this. Next thing you know, somebody done got killed because you've decided that your body can be used for something
Oh,
else.
so your mind went there.
You got men out here that like y'all understand. Like I don't know. I assume I know women have jealousy too. But like jealousy, there are people in prison, good people who never committed a crime, no criminal record, who went to prison for murder because of jealousy. Jealousy just ate away at them so bad. And I realized in my late 20s that jealousy was not a healthy emotion. So
Okay.
I started strategically finding ways to minimize my jealousy, right? And it helped. It helped a lot because it gives you a lot more confidence in who you are and comfort.
To minimize it or to not recognize it.
I recognize it. I just process it.
Okay.
You process it so that it does. It's like waste. Like your body processes waste. Like you don't. If you gotta use the bathroom, you don't keep it inside your body. It'll rot your body, right? But you gotta process it and eliminate it. You don't hold on to it. So that's what I would do. I would process it. So what do you have anything to say before you? Because I know you packing
I
your
gotta
suitcase. You gotta
go.
go. So what do you?
There are
What would you like
people
to say?
waiting on me.
Okay, what would you like to say?
What do I want to say? Well, I think that if a man doesn't want his territory marked, it won't be marked. And if a
Mm,
man doesn't care, because it can offend another woman if they come over there. Sometimes they like that
mm,
because maybe they have one person in their life that they really love. Okay. And that person, he allows that person to mark their territory. If another woman comes over, say a friend or something, or somebody that he thinks might be interested and happen to come over, and he'll let her see it as his subtle way of saying, I'm sorry, this is, I don't know, this is Monica stuff. This is Monica stuff. So I think men allow themselves to be marked if they really like a woman. So I think it's really cute. It's a cute little play on making a commitment of monogamy. I'll just
okay.
leave it there. I don't see it as something sinister or something jealous. I think it's really cute. And I think it's just fun to do. It's just like my toothbrush is there. That's a sign of seriousness.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of, I don't know. I found that I was much happier when I was able to really kind of process and deal with jealousy.
Oh, well, see,
And
I
to
don't
just,
see it as a
and to
jealousy
just,
thing.
well, no, because I think a lot of people. Well, okay, maybe it's not a jealousy thing, but I think marking another person like I own this, I think that's a very dangerous space to go mentally,
Okay, so you're going
because
to the
people
crazy soccer
well,
phase.
people start thinking they own something, and then when you take it away, they start feeling like, okay, you took something from me.
Oh,
Well, really, it
Lord.
was never yours in the first. Like my dad was a cop, and he told me that there would be cops who would feel like they own the badge and own the gun and own the uniform. So when they would take their badge and their gun, they would go crazy. They'd be in there trying to shoot people up and do
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff. You still have makeup on from the
I
wedding. Can you
know.
get
I
that stuff?
can't take it off. I've been taking like soap and water and I've been like scraping my face. I do not ever wear that much makeup ever.
Yeah, I ain't never seen you
I didn't even
that caked
recognize
out.
myself.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, I've always had a bias where I didn't. I put it this way: I didn't dislike women who wore a lot of makeup, but I tended to be. I noticed that all the women I've ever loved, which is like 3.5.
Three and
I
a half.
Yeah, no, 3.5. One of them I'm not sure, but they didn't wear makeup, including you. Like
Yeah, I don't ever wear
you wear very
makeup.
little makeup. I proposed to one woman many years ago, a wonderful woman. I'll never say anything negative about her. We chose not to get married, but she didn't wear makeup. The woman I dated when I was in my 20s didn't wear any makeup. So I think it's kind of like there's like a pattern. Like I think I like
You
that.
like the more
I like the
natural
natural
beauty.
beauty. All the makeup and caked up face and everything. It kind of, I don't know what it does. Maybe it makes me feel like you're hiding something, or it comes off as artificial. I don't know, but it's no disrespect. If ladies like makeup, I'm not judging. It's just it was always my preference.
Hmm.
I like limited makeup, and then also hair. I like hair. I don't like that whole like thing
Getting the
like
fade out.
when a woman
Getting
gets
faded out.
when a woman gets like a bald head. That doesn't appeal to me unless you, again, if you have to get it because you got
But
cancer
you
or
know,
something.
some women be rocking that stuff. I'm hats off to those women who rock
Yes,
their low haircut.
God bless
I
them.
don't think I have. I mean, they have really beautiful faces, and that's the thing to pull
Mm,
it off. That's a heck of a road.
yeah.
Let me go down because there are people waiting on
Okay,
me,
man. I
boys.
love you.
Okay, love you.
All
Mwah.
right. See you
I'll
later.
be back though.
Okay. Everybody say bye to Alicia. Say goodbye, Alicia.
Okay.
All right. So as you know, Alicia and I got married this weekend, and like I said, if you go to boyceandalicia.com, I think that links to our Facebook page, and you can look at some of the pictures, and there's stuff on my personal Facebook page, which is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Just go to facebook.com/. Dr. Boyce Watkins. You can find them there, and Alicia's a relationship therapist, and she's a legit doctor. She has a real PhD, like one of those 5 year type things. And hey, babe, how many years did it take you to get your PhD? Was it 4 years or 5 years?
It took me 5 years to get my PhD.
Okay,
I need
yeah.
a key to your car
You need the key to my car? Why?
because we're gonna drive it around because they have to switch. It's a long story. Just
Okay,
trust me. Where is
okay.
it though?
It should be in my bag in the front
Okay,
pocket.
I got
There
it.
we go.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, hey Lovato, hey Miss Black. Let's see here. Question for the good doctor. What tactical or strategic advantages does his very late marriage to Dr. Alicia bring him? Please explain. That's a great question. What advantages do I get? There's two ways I'm thinking about your question. The Obsidian Media Network. I don't see your name, so I just call you the Obsidian. Two things that come to mind. I have been very strategic about my life. I don't believe that success and happiness come by accident, and really success and happiness are kind of the same thing because I believe if you're not happy, you weren't successful because I think happiness is the ultimate form of success. In economics, we call that utility. That's better than money. Money should be a tool to give you utility, but money does not necessarily give you utility. If you earn money in the wrong way or whatever, put yourself in bad situations, or like I became a dope dealer to make $1 million, that doesn't give me much utility. It'll give me a lot of money, but I have a lot of stress and unhappiness. So anyway, I've become very good. I would say I mastered a couple of things very early that made a huge difference in my life. First one thing was I mastered time. I became really efficient with my time, and because I noticed how much time people waste, and they can't accomplish their goals because they're spending so much time doing a whole bunch of other stuff that has nothing productive to do with their lives. And so I really became careful and efficient with my time. If I don't really want to talk to you, I'm not going to be talking to you. I'm not going to waste time on stupid stuff, whatever, And it became more intense as time went on because I'd have a lot of people that wanted to have 5 minute conversations with me, and I know how those things add up. So I don't have a lot of those conversations. I talk to people I need to talk to, and I don't talk to people I don't want to talk to. That's just it. Celebrities, I don't care if you're a celebrity or not. I'm not gonna sit on the phone with you just because you're famous. But all the other piece is when you talk about happiness. I had to master happiness because I was very unhappy when I was young. A lot of things. You just I would say I'm a little bit of a, when you talk about an abuse survivor. I don't like to use that terminology because I don't like to see myself as a victim, but I went through some challenges, as a kid, some emotional challenges for sure, and I wasn't a real happy person, and so I became very good at just kind of the science of happiness. Like I know little basic things a lot of people don't know, like that the key to that literally scientists have found that the key to being happier is to be happier. That happiness can be a conscious choice. You can choose to be optimistic. You can choose to be positive. You can choose to look forward and up as opposed to down and back. Like you make a choice with all that. Do you get what I'm saying? Give me a yes if you understand what I'm talking about. Like, if some people don't get it, and my heart goes out to them. But anyway, so the things I wanted to protect was I wanted to really protect my happiness. And I also had to protect my time because I had goals to accomplish. So what would occur is that sometimes your personal life can not necessarily easily blend in with these crazy ambitious goals you may have. Like you may want to go out and become president of the United States and a multimillionaire and this entrepreneur running this great company, and and you may find that that having a normal personal life like everybody else, leave the door cracked so you can come in. Um, Having a regular personal life like everybody else just doesn't work. I can just tell you, if you're trying to be a high achiever, like really try to do some abnormal stuff, you can't be like everybody else. Like you can't just go sit around at the club for 4 hours, every Friday night and drink till you pass out and waste your time on the phone talking, gossiping with your friends. Like you have to be focused. You got to figure out what you're gonna do with your time. You don't want to waste that. So what happened was there was only certain women I could even consider dating. I had to be with a woman that was goal oriented, and Alicia was definitely goal oriented. But then also, family takes a lot of time. Doing it right takes time. A lot of things take energy. Monogamy takes energy too, and I don't know if I had the energy for all of that. To be judged on that at the age of 28. I did. So I waited to get married. I said I'm not gonna get married. First, I said I'm not gonna get married till I'm about 34, 35, and I got engaged, and we called it off. But then about mid to late 30s, I was kind of like, I don't think I ever actually have to get married. I used to think I had to, and then I was like, there's nobody telling me I have to do this. So I just was like, well, I'll do it when I feel like it. So of course you get people that are asking you questions that think you're gay and all this other stupid stuff, because you didn't do it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it if the time is right, if the situation makes sense. And the other thing too is, think of it like a job. Like being married and having a family really is a job. So my thought was, if you're happy as an entrepreneur, why would you be looking for a job? Just because somebody says you're unemployed, yeah, right now I'm technically unemployed, but I make a lot more money being unemployed than I make being, having a job, right? So I didn't feel so honestly, to be just 100% honest with you, when I got to the point where I was late 30s, I had a ton of money in the bank. I was growing in prestige every year. My success was pretty good. I'm selling books and what, Summer?
Are you supposed to call an Uber for Carmen and the people?
No, they can take care of their own stuff.
She said that she's waiting on us to do an Uber for her.
No, tell her she can do it herself. Tell her I talk to her in a minute.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they can handle that. They got that. I'm not doing
You
it.
sure? Okay.
Yeah, tell them that they've got that. I'm it's 6 o'clock in the morning. So all right, sorry. This is family stuff. See, this is the type of stuff I'm telling you guys about when I'm saying things that you don't always have time for. It's stuff like this. It's like, no, like I'm not solving. I'm not. A lot of y'all can't accomplish your goals because you are too busy solving other people's problems. I don't know if anybody has a family like that. Like, let me know. Give me a yes or no if you've seen what I'm talking about, where you have so many relatives that have so many issues that you're constantly solving everybody else's stuff and you can't do the stuff that matters for you. So that's where you have to learn how to draw strong boundaries. So what I did was, my boundaries were, I'm not going to let anybody else tell me how to live my life. Nobody else is going to tell me how to do anything that I'm going to choose to do. um, because I make the decisions here, period, including marriage and everything. So I was meeting women that I liked. I was having the relationships I wanted to have. I did not feel lonely. I was going all around the world, like really living the life I wanted to live. And I kept my eyes open, like, okay, if I find a woman that makes me feel safe enough emotionally to want to get married, I'll do it. But if I don't, I'm perfectly fine not ever doing this. And so with Alicia, what it was that we had this foundation where we've been friends for 20 something years. She got married many years ago, and then eventually she did get a divorce, and she was single. And we had the foundation of friendship that we leaned on. Also, she had her own stuff. Like she'd already done her own things. Like she's already heavily accomplished, and she's a full professor. And she wasn't trying to like, oh yeah, if I marry Boyce, I can get his money and get this from him and that from him. No, she knew me as my friend. In fact, I don't think she knew. She was really surprised. Like we hadn't talked maybe for over a year, and she was really surprised when we were in Chicago and people kept walking up asking me for autographs and taking pictures with me. She didn't understand that. She was like, why are these people wanting to take pictures with you? And so anyway, the decision to kind of do this with marriage is that I believe strategically it does benefit you in the sense that marriage can be good if you have somebody that knows how to resolve disputes. I think that's probably the number one factor I believe in. That if somebody is like a person that knows how to minimize arguments and or address them, right? Tools like there's tools therapists have that you guys may want to take time to study, like the four horsemen of an argument, like four horsemen to avoid, things like that, that can help minimize the number of issues that come up, and how you address those issues, how you process those issues is extremely important in your ability to get along. Because I really, maybe I'm a pessimist, but I believe it's rare where two people just always get along all the time. I think it's so rare, right? So you're going to have conflict, you're going to have disputes. And if you notice, sometimes you get people that are mature and open minded and flexible and, eager to resolve the conflict. But then you get people that get involved in all kinds of ridiculous niggatry. Like they just start acting a damn fool, screaming and hollering, destroying things, ego super big to where you can't even apologize, disrespectful, full of contempt, full of baggage all over the place. Like people like that are not healthy to have relationships with. And so if you want to know what led me to kind of make that transition with her was that number one, I'm not going to be dating a woman that's got kids and be all up in her house for many, many years and never like show um the willingness to make some sort of commitment to the family. The kids get attached to people. They see this guy coming around all the time, they're going to get attached to him. And I think it's just terrible when people come in and out of a woman's life and she's got children and the children are confused as hell, unhappy as hell. That's the key.
That's the key to where the Nicole and Quincy are going to be.
Okay, thank you. Where's my key? You got mine?
Oh, I gave your key to Quincy because he went to get the car.
No, my key to my room.
I gave it to Quincy.
Why would he be coming in my room?
Because he needed to get the car. He had needed access in that little gate.
Oh, okay. Can you get it back from him?
I will get it back from him. He
Thank
won't
you.
come in on you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay. Sorry, we're figuring things out. Um, but yeah, so effectively, I felt that it's only right to make some sort of structured commitment, because the thing is that when you're talking about things like wealth and legacy and empire building and everything else, family is a very important part of that. And I don't think that the black community benefits when the men just they grow old and they want to be old players. Like, you're in your 50s and 60s and you want to still go from woman to woman. I don't really quite think that that's beneficial for us, because I think it ends up getting messy, especially when you get older. You start having health issues, and you need your family. Like you're not 25 anymore, and even when you're 25, if you're around kids, like the kids have expectations of adults, and I think that there's something about manhood that should involve some degree of consistency, where the kids can say, okay, this is structured, like this makes sense to me, as opposed to like chaos, like, oh, mommy had a different boyfriend 6 months ago, and that's my mom's new boyfriend. Maybe kids can adapt, I don't know, but I personally think it's very damaging to them. And then also, when you've got happiness to protect, businesses to protect, things like that, I think picking a woman who's at least going to not interfere with that, right? Who's going to at worst, maybe she just kind of sits to the side and does something different and doesn't harm what you're doing. At best, she becomes an asset to what you're doing. Like she can help you, support you. So Alicia and I are both scholars. She brings in this relationship expertise that it's fun. It's fun. It's like, oh, let me incorporate that into what I'm doing, and then I can help you. You help me, and we're kind of giving more balance. I noticed that people respond to me differently, when Alicia's around, because there are people. My personality as a single man is different from my personality as a married man. I'm the same guy, but she brings out a different side of me. And what that does is that actually adds a type of balance that is extremely beneficial when it comes to other forms of relationships. Because here's the other thing too. Mature men who make grown man money, who are doing grown man business. I'm not talking about little, loudmouth bitchy men on the internet and people just out here scrambling, smoking weed and trying to chase hoes and all this other stuff. I'm talking about real men who are doing real business, who have millions of dollars in the bank, who are really sturdy, quality people that are doing structures, who engage in structured scenarios. They tend to respect you more when you have a family than if you're just a guy who's just out here just kind of willy nilly solo. There's something about it. There's something about a commitment to structure that makes a man, that at least for me, I know I would deal with a married man differently from the way I deal with a guy who is just trying to be a player. and it's just not. And I think that that's not a popular conversation because unfortunately the black man has been infantilized, like he's been made into an infant. A lot of black men never grow up. It's arrested development. I heard two guys talking today, Curtis Schoon and Jason Whitlock. Well, I know Jason Whitlock is very controversial for sure. I've even said crazy, terrible things about him. But one thing that they did talk about was, with the athlete rapper culture kind of being so prevalent in the community, it really popularizes immature, irresponsible behavior. So you get a lot of 50-year-old black men who still think they're 20 years old and they're acting like 20-year-olds. And I don't want to be a 20-year-old forever. I'm like Jay-Z was when Jay-Z got to a point where he said, I'm not wearing oversized jerseys anymore. I'm not wearing hoodies and wife beaters and trying to run around with 50 gold chains on my neck. I want to be a grown man. I want to grow up. And I really think that it doesn't mean you're not mature if you're not married. I'm not saying that at all. It just means that, the question becomes, at what point have you made a commitment to anything? Like, at what point have you made a commitment to something other than just yourself, right? Like if you're just making a commitment to yourself, that's one thing. But if you're really a man about the community, then you make some sort of commitment to the community. What commitment have you made to the community? Umar Johnson was saying this stuff. I guess he was going back and forth with Kevin Samuels and talking about, we need to love and protect and respect black women, this, that, and the other. Well, I would almost challenge to say, is there a track record of that? Like, where's your track record to show that you've, made that commitment and honored a black woman in some particular way, long term? Because when you're famous, I can tell you, you go to different cities, you can pick a new woman in every city, right? And so, are you saying these things because you want women to buy into some sort of fantasy that is never going to come true, like buying into, donating to a school that'll never get built? Are you asking them to believe in an idea that isn't really relevant? Seriously, I know, right? Seriously, like I really think sometimes there are guys who will say those things and talk about, oh, protect the black women, we love the black women, this, that, and the other. And let's just keep it honest. Like, a lot of guys are saying that because they can get some ass. Dude, Derek Jackson showed the whole game to everybody, where basically he was pandering to black women because he wanted black women to have sex with him, right? Because people fall for the hype, they fall for the words, they fall for the fantasy. And you got a lot of fast talking Negroes in the community. And I personally think that we should also support the men who are really trying to show something with their actions. You ain't got to be perfect, but just show me that you're trying to, like, really do something substantive for the community. So I'm not, but again, I'm not at any point making fun of anybody. It's just the honest to God truth. So if you want to know why I wanted to get married, it was because I love this woman. I'm not gonna sit here and be her boyfriend for the next 20 years. That just feels weird to me. Her kids love the shit out of me. I love them. I don't consider taking on, I know Kevin Samuel seems to feel that a woman with children is a lower quality, lower value woman than a woman without children. I don't agree with that. I think children are a blessing, well behaved children. Now this is a responsibility on the women. If you got some little badass kids who are disrespectful to men that come into the house, no man's going to stay in that situation. I can just tell you the truth. No man will stay in a situation where he's got disrespectful kids and a woman who does not back him up in his need for respect. Men need that respect. But if a woman is respectful and the kids are respectful and the situation is good, then kids are an absolute blessing. I hate when black men are like, fuck the children. Like, what kind of men are you? Seriously, like, how can you say you love a community when you basically said fuck the next generation? Like, no, I'm not taking care of them little motherfuckers. I'm gonna go get me some ass and bounce. Like, you're a pleasure seeker, bro. Like, you're just a weak ass little guy who's it's the same way you're chasing one vagina after another is no different from you smoking one blunt after another or drinking one liquor bottle after another. It's all pleasure seeking behavior that is basically devoid of any form of discipline or commitment necessary for you to truly engage in the kind of protective manhood necessary to build a community. You're not a soldier. You're a fucking bitch. Seriously, at the end of the day, that's what you are. So there you go. So they that done triggered me. That triggered me.
You triggered you. You going on a rant.
I know I need to stop
That's
ranting.
great. No, it's okay.
Give
I'll
me a
be right
kiss.
back. No, I'll be right back. I'm gonna come back for my coffee and my bag.
Okay, sounds good. All right. So I'm gonna stop talking before.
Mark my territory before I leave.
Okay, you gonna mark your territory? Okay, mark your territory, babe. All right. So anyway, I want to first of all, I want to say thank you. Somebody gave 100. Eubanks Entertainment. You gave $100 donation, man. I appreciate that so much. I'm honored by that. Thank you very much. And that's just how I feel. Like, I kind of feel like with, like I really think, I get that, right? I get the idea of pushing black women to be more accountable. It bothers me when everybody's like, "Oh, you're a queen. Oh, you're perfect. Oh, your relationships aren't good because men don't step up to the plate, and black men are the reason that you're not happy." And I hate that. Like that drives me crazy because I'm like, okay, at what point are we holding women accountable for anything? And that drives me nuts. So I'm all for the accountability toward women because I think that's necessary. Those are the women I respond to, the women that, that hold themselves accountable. I respect that. But then I think also with the men, we can't let ourselves off the hook. Like seriously, like how can you say you love the black community when when you literally are dishonoring the mothers who give birth to the children that are going to hold up the next generation? Look, if you're 40 or 35 or 30, you're not going to be young forever. One day you're going to be older. And these young kids where you're saying fuck the children and I don't want to date no woman that got kids, man. Forget these damn kids. Well, those are the kids that they're looking up to you. Those are the kids that need your guidance. They're the ones who are going to take over when you're done. So if you really care about the black community, you will care about the children. If you say you don't care about the kids, then you don't care about black people. Seriously, I don't understand how you can say I care about the black community when you say, oh, simultaneously say, I refuse to date a woman who has children because I don't care about those kids. If their own daddy ain't around, then who gives a shit? And maybe I'm biased because my own father wasn't there, and if another man had not sacrificed his life, my father married us. My father married me and Alicia this week. He sacrificed his life to be with us. Me and my mama didn't have shit. I mean, my mom was 17 years old when she gave birth to me. When she gave birth to me in the hospital, nobody was there. My father wasn't there. My grandmother wasn't there. Nobody was there. It was me and her. And so my father came along, and my one that raised me, and he stepped in where another man wouldn't. And he could have been a player. He could have spent his time getting high. He tried. He used heroin when he was over in Vietnam. He talks about that. He could have sat around. He could have just been a dope fiend his whole life. He could have been one of these dudes sitting around drinking and smoking, getting high, having sex with random women. He could have been like, man, I'm 22 years old. I'm supposed to live my best life. He didn't do that. You know what he did? He said, I'm gonna come home to this woman every day, and I'm gonna take care of her little big head son, and I'm gonna get past whatever ego I have that makes me feel like because he's not my son, I don't have to care about him. And what the thing was, I didn't know the difference. Like I thought that was my father. So if he had just done whatever other people might have told him to do, um, I would have felt abandoned. It would have hurt it would have broke my heart, to have him just abandon me at the age of 5 or 6 years old because he wants to go chase some ass. In fact, he had relatives who were telling him, like, why are you taking care of this other man's kid? Like, what the hell is that? And I don't like that energy because that sounds too much like ego. Like, if you're not mine, like, if I didn't make you, then you're not worthy of my love. Well, fuck you. If you think that way, I'm sorry. If you think that way, then I feel sorry for you. You've totally lost all the meaning and relevance of what it means to raise a child. It ain't about you and your ego all the time. It's really about, again, the question is, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to spread love in the world or hate? Are you trying to elevate the community or destroy it? Are you trying to be there for people or abandon them? I personally, people don't agree. They've never, I've never, I can't say I've been applauded for this all the time, but I've always felt if a child is right there in front of me and that child needs food, I don't care who the parents are. My job given to me by God is to get some food for that child. If that child is depressed and sad and feels unworthy, well, it's my job given to me by God to give that child whatever worthiness and validation they need in order to feel better about themselves. Like that's my job. I need to tell you to lift your head up and tell you that you're beautiful, tell you that you're smart, tell you that you can do it. Like that's my job. And when I hear so many men just kind of say, well, if a woman got kids, well, she's a low quality woman. I'd rather go date the big booty hoe who got no children. I just kind of think that that's kind of immature. It's very shallow, superficial. It's not a knock against women who don't have kids. Like I understand, yeah. I mean, there's a consequence if you got some bad baby daddies, and especially you talk about a woman's got like 3 or 4 kids with 3 or 4 different daddies. I mean, that's a complex, terrible situation to go into in many cases. In fact, Alicia has 3 kids. If they had 3 different daddies, I probably would have looked at it differently from the fact that they have the same daddy. Also, the fact that their daddy is a good guy and I can work with him and he's mature, that is that makes it easy. Allows us to come together as mature adults to make sure these children are going to be okay, that they're going to be in good shape, right? The daughters are super protected because both of their fathers will fight and kill to protect them, right? But then you can imagine how that can go wrong. So I think that what it really speaks to at the end of the day is we got to think more about our families. We got to think about more about how they're structured. We have to think about who we're choosing to mate and procreate with. We got to think more about how we respond to each other, because some of what you see on the internet is very unhealthy, and it's going to destroy your life. And so if you want to know why I wanted to get married, and again, I can't sit here and pretend like every choice I make is always perfect. For all I know, I hope not. I mean, for all I know, it could be a mistake. I don't know. I did it because I wanted. I like the idea of that structure. I do. I just like that. I'm an empire builder. If you start a business, it's got to be structured a certain way. You got to incorporate, and you got to set up your or articles of incorporation, your operating agreements, and your codes of conduct and everything else. Because actually, what an institution is, a business is a type of institution, a family is an institution, a church is an institution, a school is an institution. All institutions pretty much are a nexus of relationships, a set of relationships where everybody agrees to operate based on similar codes of conduct and principles of behavior toward one another. So when you have that, what you're basically effectively doing is you are a builder. You are a black nationalist, because black nationalists must be builders, because you must be builders. Why? Well, because you don't want to depend on white people for the rest of your life. White people built their shit. White people have built their churches. White people have built their businesses. They built their foundations. They built their think tanks. They built their media outlets, right? So they built these different things, these institutions, these connections of relationships. They're trillion-dollar corporations that basically are set up based on a code of conduct and behavior. There is chaos, sure. White people can be as chaotic as anybody, but there's also order. In many cases, you replace chaos with order. Apple Computer makes hundreds of billions of dollars a year, or whatever their total. I forget. I think they made $100 billion last quarter because they have order and structure. Right? You can't do that in the middle of chaos. So for Black people, what I want you to really kind of consider is that you want to aim for order and structure. Order and structure means, you start with your family. Okay, this is who we are. This is how we love each other. This is how we back each other up. This is how we deal with each other. This is what we do not do to each other. This is what we believe in. This is what we're all about. And that becomes your culture, and that allows you, and you can build around that, right? So Black men, being the backbone of that whole skeleton, you have to be sturdy. And the reason that your community isn't moving forward, part of it is because your men have been trained to not be sturdy. Your men have been trained to be flimsy. Your men have been trained to think of themselves as victims. If I was a woman, there's no way I'd ever be able to be attracted to a man who always felt like he was a victim of another man. So Black men have to be even careful about how we talk about racism. When you sit around and you're talking about the white man like he is some invincible fucking god who can come in and take your money, beat your ass, and fuck your woman. Well, I would not feel protected or safe around a man like that. I wouldn't. If I was a woman, I'd be like, okay, wait a minute. So you're telling me that he's really the man, you're really his bitch. Okay, I'm gonna go. Women naturally are wired to be with the man who actually has the strength, not the man who's always the victim. So when you're constantly talking about how the white man's doing this to you and doing that to you, what you're effectively doing is you're admitting to your woman that you're too weak to protect her. You're admitting to your family that you're not really masculine enough to at least fight the good fight. A lot of women will support a man if he just gets up and fights. If he just says, "Look, I'm gonna fight to the death. I don't know if I'm gonna win or not, but I'm gonna go out here and do battle." She'll respect that more than a guy who is always surrendering, always bowing, always apologizing, always on his knees. Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, ladies, tell me what you think. I don't know maybe I sound like I'm way off, but I personally don't think women want to be around men who can't provide some sort of consistency, reliability, and sturdiness in their character. When I picked the groomsmen for my wedding, I picked three people. My brother, who's been very consistent, very sturdy in my life. We were raised by the same father. I picked my friend Clayton, that I literally go back to before kindergarten. He was a former police commander. He's very sturdy, very consistent. Been married to his wife 27 years. Very reliable. Shows up on time. Follows through. Takes care of his kids. His kids are in college. That kind of guy. Then I also picked Willie D. Willie D is you know him from the Ghetto Boys, but he's also a personal friend. And Willie is just super consistent in terms of loyalty. You know, when we just sort of talk about something, I know where he's going to come from. I know what he's going to do. There's no wishy-washiness. There's no strange behavior that I see. And I think that that's probably my bias, is that I think that that's, you can build around that. You know, you can build a community around sturdy men. You cannot build a community around men who have been trained to think of themselves as victims. So just be very careful, black men. You know, you ain't gonna win every battle. I know, you know, you probably have insecurities like the rest of the world. We all do. Everybody's not always sure if you have everything that it takes. But remember, I think confidence, just like happiness, confidence and happiness are a choice. You have a choice to be confident, a choice to be happy. Make that choice. Make that choice to be confident. Make that choice to be happy. Make that choice to be sturdy. And if you just do that, and you know, and can forgive yourself for your mistakes, you know, and just keep moving forward, keep doing better, then I think people will respect you. Okay. So anyway, that's it. And you're right, Mars. Some of our women are attracted to the worst types of men. I wouldn't say our women, like all of our women, but I will say, Mars, that there are some women who are attracted to the worst types of men. I actually told that story at the wedding, ironically, where I said, you know, one of the interesting things was when when I met Alicia in college. She was the prettiest girl I saw at Indiana University. I mean, really, and I went to the club with her, and I swear when she walked into the club, it was crazy because all the guys like parted like the Red Sea, and they were all reaching out to touch her arm like she was the Pope. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, do guys do this to you every time you go into the club? And she was like, yeah. She just kind of like said it like it was like matter of fact. And so a lot of the guys that would hit on her were like basketball players, you know, who were like 6'8", you know, or guys who played in the NBA, who, you know, big tall guys who drove Ferraris. And I remember thinking that, you know, I didn't even expect, you know, there to be any type of interest at that time when I was much younger, mainly because it was like, well, why would any, you know, I wasn't used to black women being interested in smart guys. Like I thought that my liability was that I was too smart, because that, you know, back then people used to think that that was acting white. That, you know, I was a guy that would be in the library till 10, you know, 10, 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday. You know, I was a guy who, you know, would think about, I would dream about my goals. You know, everything I'm doing in my life right now, the life I'm living now, I used to dream about one day having a life like this. I didn't even have dreams this high. I actually went further than my dreams. And that just wasn't cool. You know, I remember just kind of a lot of guys go through this where you feel like you have to pretend to be dumb to, you know, attract women. And so it's just, it was the stupidest thing. But the area where I got lucky was, I didn't think about it at the time. I wish I'd known it back then, but you know, I know it now. Her father was a college professor. Her father was a sturdy man. Again, sturdiness, very important. Sturdy man who was also a college professor. So she wasn't attracted to the athletes and the rappers and the thugs. She wanted a smart guy like her father. She wanted, you know, that's why it's important to think about what you represent to your daughters as a daddy. You know, or women who didn't have a daddy or who had a shitty daddy. Like you got to be really careful, because a lot of times you're attracted to what you were raised by. So there are lots. Actually, I think a book or an article a lady wrote called "My Father Was My First Boyfriend," and there are people who literally are attracted to terrible, shitty men, largely because that's what they saw growing up, and you have to work through that so that you don't fall into that trap, or where you're excusing inexcusable behavior because you think it's normal because you saw your father do it, right? And so you know, to tell you, you know, just personally, Alicia is in the same profession as my mother. She looks like my mother, and they're both social workers. I'm in the same profession as her father. So subconsciously, you are attracted to people who remind you of your same-sex parent. So in general, a lot of women are attracted to the worst types of men, largely because the worst types of men maybe were what their fathers represented. So but the good thing though is that there are women out here who are not into that. There are women that you can go meet at the library and not the club. I met Alicia at the library. I didn't meet her at the club because I didn't go to the club. I didn't want to meet a club girl. I wanted a library girl. You know, there's a reason we're both professors to this day. You know, we both have our PhDs. Only 1% of the country has a PhD, and only 1% of that top 1% ever become full professors. So Alicia literally is in the top 1% of the top 1%. And this would be true even if she were white. As a black woman, it's extremely rare that a black woman gets a PhD and then becomes a full professor at a research university. So she's a highly accomplished person. And I love that. You know, I love that. I'm not intimidated by that. And that's another thing a lot of black women go through, actually, that I've noticed is that a lot of women that become professional high flyers and really successful, they run into men who can't really handle that, maybe because the confidence wasn't instilled in them to know that you are enough, that she likes you for a reason. But instead, they're like, oh, well, you make this much money, so I feel inadequate. Or you have more education than me, so I feel inadequate. Or because I'm the man, I've got to always be the smartest person in the room. I can't, allow myself to be corrected by you. And so it becomes very frustrating, I've noticed, for both parties, because the women feel like, gosh, I got to pretend to be stupid to support this man's ego to make him feel smart. And I hate that too. I think, guys, look, if she's with you and she likes you, she likes you. Like, so what if she's a little smarter or has a little more money or has a higher degree or whatever? Most women, if you just if you just accept the fact that she's into you and don't try to figure out why, and don't worry, don't walk around and let your insecurities kind of guide all your choices, I think you'll be a lot happier than constantly trying to let your ego kind of guide everything. Ego seems to be a big problem for a lot of people. I've seen it for men and for women. Like, for example, I would never date a person who refuses to apologize. You have people that will get in a relationship and will never apologize for anything. That to me is like a huge warning sign. That's got ego written all over it, because you care more about winning than you care about preserving the relationship. A person that isn't willing to humble themselves to preserve a relationship isn't worth being in a relationship with. Seriously. So anyway, I gotta go, guys. There's so much more we could talk about. I'll talk more about it later. For those of you that want to hear it, I know this is healthy. I like to think this is healthy Black love and Black relationship, conversation. And I know that that's not popular. The toxic stuff tends to get more interest and more attention, and people like that more. But remember, toxicity, it's like liquor. It tastes good, feels good, but it's going to kill you. So toxicity in your life will destroy you. I can say from the bottom of my heart that I'm extremely happy with my life. I look at my bank account, I smile when I look at my bank account. I look at my relationships, I smile when I think about the people I have in my life. I've lost weight. I've made positive changes in my life in a lot of areas. And the thing is, that's not common all the time. Like, you got a lot of Black people whose lives are a complete mess and complete chaos. And what you notice is there's a correlation between the people that chase the toxicity and what their lives look like. People that chase toxic energy end up with toxic shit all over their lives. So don't chase the toxic, chase the healthy, whatever that is for you. Go find the healthy stuff, because I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of these internet gurus and the people you listen to online, and I'm telling you, if their energy feels a little bit crazy and a little bit off, it's because it is. and unfortunately, because you got so much mental illness in the community, it's the crazy stuff that ends up being the most interesting and most popular to people, because crazy people are fun. They're fun to watch. So anyway, I got to go, guys. Have a good morning, a good day, and I'll check back in once I get back to Chicago. Talk to you later. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.